All right, and I'll share the chart also. Let's turn this on so I know just around how much time. Okay, cool. Yeah, so with follow-ups, I like them to be more client-led. Just anything, first of all, any questions you had, anything that needs more clarity, obviously, and then just anything you want to go further about, kind of just let the follow-ups go where they need to go, you know?
Okay. Yeah. Cool. Well, I'll tell you a little bit about like how you nailed it. So one of the things you kept saying in the reading was I have a lot in Leo, but it's all in the eighth house. So it's kind of like a Leo mix of Scorpio in terms of going deep. And I've done a whole lot. I had a whole business career and kind of like went through Kundalini awakening around 5 years ago. And so now I'm more on like the healing journey, and I do Reiki, which you said I had, energy through my hands, which you got right. And I did have a lot of childhood trauma with my dad, and wrote a book about like, and it's called Finding Color, so like dark to light kind of thing.
Nice.
And
Very fitting.
yeah, yeah,
Eighth house Leo, finding light. It's like can't make it
yeah,
up with astrology.
yeah, exactly. So you got like so much. So yeah, I was kind of blown away. And then my
Awesome.
friend I got a reading for, I told her about it, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, she cannot wait." And she's a huge astrology buff too. So
Yeah, I look forward to
you're
doing those.
gifted. You're very gifted.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Um, so yeah, because the eighth house Venus, sometimes there's like hidden talents. I feel like I see that a lot with, I mean, it would be seventh house and Placidus, but just with eighth house in general, good for inheritance, good for money stuff, for getting lucky. A lot of people with that either get
Well,
inheritance or
it's
they marry someone with money.
yeah, well, it's kind of crazy because like I grew up not with a lot of money at all, and so did my husband. But
Yeah,
when we met, like I did really well in business, so I did well there and helped support him, and now he's doing really well. So yeah,
awesome.
we found money later in life, which is nice.
Did you benefit like in your business world? I'm just curious from my own knowledge. A lot of eighth house energy, they can do really good in business where it relies, like for example, like managing assets or like managing other people's money or something that you have like you're basically making money from someone as like an investor. Was it something like that? I just want to know.
Uh, well, it was a technology company, so it was software. Because you mentioned technology too, and I don't know if it was one of the stars or asteroids. So I did there, and it was a startup, and we built it up. So I did well on the back end too when we sold the company. So I did well during it and then afterwards. But yeah,
trying to
it
see
was a tech focus.
I'm trying to see what I would have said is the technology thing. 'Cause usually it's like Aquarius, Mercury. Let me see. Hold
Yeah,
up.
wait, let me look at my notes if I can figure that out.
You said it was a star, maybe?
Might have been
Mm.
the star, let's see.
Oh yeah, Vega rising too. That's another good one for success. Mm-mm. And
Okay.
you have two really good stars on on the two most important points for stars, midheaven and ascendant. You have Vega and Alphecca. One on
Can
your
you tell
ascendant.
me about those? Yeah, yeah, I want to know more about this.
Oof,
That's that chart.
those see, yeah, with the stars, it's like I have to go check. Like they're all it's so insane the amount of information on all these stars. But I know Vega is good for business and just power overall. 15 Capricorn, your ascendant, and then
Mhm.
Alpheka is just like a really nice place in Scorpio. Let's see. It's 12 Scorpio. Oh yeah, it's called Gemma or Alpheka. The jewel of the Northern Crown has a Mercury Venus influence with some properties of Moon and Neptune, blah 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 blah. Okay, let's see what it says. Okay, yeah. So if in good position, is credited with a liking for literature, art, and science, artistic talents, and also success in trade and commerce. Okay. Yeah, so that one's really good. And then Vega. The brightest star of it's the brightest fixed star of the northern sky
Wow.
and has a Venus nature of the blend of Neptune and Mercury. The Babylonians called it the star of the queen of life. It is in a good cosmic conference. It's supposed to give artistic talents, especially for music and acting, but also liking for good living. With eccentric artists, this may lead to a debauched life tied up with Jupiter and Venus. No, 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 no. However, if others. Okay. Okay, here it is. High success is promised if Vega is positioned on the horizon or meridian.
Hmm.
So yeah, you have that's you. One can find it in corresponding charts of statesmen, politicians, persons of importance, and influential persons. Yeah, that's really cool. And then it says it was conjunct the ascendant of some guy named Karl Brand Prack. Astrologers and writers of books on the subject, also Emperor Napoleon III, French politician Poincaré, and former king of Bulgaria. They all had conjunct the ascendant, like you. Yeah, so it's a good one. Good degrees. And I only look at like very close conjunctions for that. So, and then you have Sirius on your descendant. So that's another wealth star. So you have like literally like so many wealth stars or like success stars. Crazy.
That's really cool. I just have to figure out what to do with it all.
Well, I mean, it puts you in a karmic position where you're not here to worry about money, you know? Like
Yeah, yeah.
some people have money karma. There's a lot of
Hmm.
karmic lessons that come with money, and other people they've already done that in past lives. They've kind of passed the karmic tests around that.
Hmm.
Like if someone, for example, in this incarnation uses money, they get money and they use it like in a bad way, they're gonna have really bad money karma, you know?
Right, right.
Let's see. Yeah, Sirius is the dog, the star of the dog. Well connected, it promises fame, honors, riches on this. Okay, it's on the descendant, which is still important on an angle. Uh, 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 Yeah, so it's like a lot of serious people like do really good with money. So let's see, and then with your vest on there, I see in Taurus, Amor on Mars. So yeah, very compassionate lover, very unconditional love. And then what's this? Yeah, I think. And then, oh, and yeah, and then you have like Spica, like one of the best stars in all of astrology on your moon. Jesus, Jesus. Spica's like there's four like royal stars. Spica's like pretty much should be the fifth. Might as well be. It's just not. But Spica on your moon. Let me see what it says. Yeah, it's like a Spica's like the best Libra energy. It's like very refined energy, very worldly, very pleasant. It just gives like a very like honors and yeah, it's another really good one for scientists, writers, artists, painters, sculptors, musicians. It's on the moon though. Let's see. Yeah, I think the best word is refinement. class, artistic. Yeah. Very, yeah, able to really like, it makes people really likable, I feel like, the Spica influence. So very cool.
Cool. Does it mean anything being on my moon?
Um, yes, yes. But generally, like, if it's with, if it's with like a malefic planet, like Mars, then I might worry. I might like look into, okay, what do they say about that? But with the moon, yeah, it's within, yeah, it's like not, it's, yeah, within a degree. So, um, yeah, it'd be good. It would still have a lot of those same qualities.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. But yeah,
So,
go on with what you're saying. So, um, what else was or yeah, just speak
oh yeah.
freely.
So yeah, you got it with the, childhood trauma with my dad and difficult relationship with my mom. Um, given I think I have Pluto near my moon,
Yeah,
which
Hades
problems.
moon.
Yeah, yeah. And
Controlling mother.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And then what else? Oh, with a Mercury retrograde, you said about the projections with past lives.
Hmm.
Uh, I've dug, so with my Kundalini awakening, I've dug pretty deep into my past lives. And I've totally, like, my mom has been my sister before, I've been her mother before. So there's a lot of like interchange that we've done over past lives. And it's funny you talk about the Pisces South Node. Yeah, I had past lives like being a mystic in Egypt, being a witch, like all of that good stuff. And then even my most recent past life, it was one of those, I had early trauma. I was like gang raped by a bunch of high school guys when I was like in like 8 years old, and turned to a total life of addiction, just completely spiraled down and just couldn't get out of it. So
Wait, you said
I
this is a past life?
past life. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The one right before this one. So and even for me in this lifetime, when a lot of my childhood trauma was repressed, so it came out in my 20s, like in dreams and everything, so very mystical in terms of how it came out. And it was a struggle, with depression. Didn't quite touch addiction because I knew I could go there very easily.
Mm.
uh but yeah, so it was definitely learning from past lives. And then what else? Oh, I astral travel too, because a couple of times you said like travel is either physically or metaphysically. I'm like, yeah, I do that.
Neptune, 12th house.
Okay, that's why. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's and then also, yeah, like the South Node and Pisces, I get a lot of clients who have that because they're, yeah, past life mystics, and they're trying to, it's very clear that you're trying to figure out how to make things work in the material world and have one foot in each world. Because yeah, past lives, a lot of times with that there's kind of and also it doesn't, interesting, it didn't say that you have the square of Neptune. So yeah, I see that a good amount too, which is very interesting because Neptune squares your south node, and that is kind of a double. It really it really brings what you said. It makes a lot of sense, like written in the stars, at least in how I interpret them, is that because of the different traumas, perhaps the one that you uncovered, past life traumas, Neptune square the node in Pisces, it's like just like someone who forgot how to dream or who had their dreams broken. If you think of Neptune as like oneness and being able to really, you know, feel the divine purpose in life, when I see it squared, I think that something happened in past lives where, whether it's the society you're in or traumas that, kept you away from dreaming, it's a big thing for you in this life to be able to dream and to be able to do everything you just said, astral travel, find those buried talents because you weren't able to use them in past lives, you for whatever reason, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
So let me see one sec what it says. Yeah, unresolved material issues around one's sense of ultimate meaning, one's dreams and ideals. So the skip karmic step is around loss of meaning, profound disillusionment or despair that leads to loss of life force and will. And yeah, unresolved dream or ideal that the person has suppressed or been unable to yet to fulfill and now demands exploration. So if we look at the North Node and with Saturn in Virgo, yeah, it really is about you getting past the past fears and really, really searching because it's ninth house North Node, right? So it's like you're searching throughout the world, also within, because this would be probably an eighth house North Node in Placidus. But regardless, it's like, yeah, just this, you're meant to really search and to find your dreams that come from your inspiration, your imagination, your dreams, your meditation, the kind of subtle fields, and then create realities, like physical realities out of them.
Mhm. Gotcha.
Which can be
Yeah.
very, it can be very hard for people, like I have a lot of people who have the South Node there, and they really like, I think the big question, and maybe you've had this in your life, is like there can be escapism, there can be kind of not wanting to confront reality. So like
Mhm.
the big karmic goal is to kind of be brave and just kind of do what maybe you weren't able to do in past lives, and yeah, just allow yourself to dream, and then allow yourself to know this is the step by step basis of or procedure of what it takes to get to these goals. Because a lot of times the Pisces South Node people, sometimes they can give up on their dreams too easily,
Yeah. No, totally get that. Yeah, and I don't want to say I did it in this life, but I didn't I didn't publish my book just again because of the relationship with my mom. So it's just kind of sitting there, may make it into a TV series. So it makes me gives me hope that like there's some good stars in my chart, so maybe that'll help me
No,
actually
I
like
mean,
get it made. You know what I mean?
yeah, and first 30 years were not supposed to be easy. Like, I think I would assume that it was post Saturn return that a lot opened up for you
Oh yeah.
around
Yeah.
30.
Yeah. My childhood was not easy at all.
Yeah, and then all that eighth house is just very interesting because you have like a lot of like spiritual protection, um, and just an ability to go to the places that most people, the gates of the unknown are
Mhm.
open to you, while for most they're closed, so like but yeah, even with Saturn opposing this even gives me more clues because Saturn's opposing your South Node. So Saturn is like the patriarchy, the rules, the very solid, confines of society that didn't allow you to dream. It didn't, and yeah, so it's nice that you're totally moving towards that. I love to see this.
Yeah. But even still, like it's one of those things because with my book and my mom and my family not wanting me to publish it. So like I'm coming up against that now. And then even with the TV show I want to do, I'm struggling right now because it's very, it's about my journey and how I, got all of a sudden started astral traveling, had no idea where I was and things like that. But it's so out there and so woo-woo. Like, okay, would it make it? Because most mainstream people have no idea that this is even a thing and that it's even possible. So I see I see those obstacles like in front of me right now as well.
Yeah. I mean, I totally understand you. I think a lot of mainstream stuff, I think there's a lot that's opening up that's going to continue to open up in that realm. I don't know. I said it like years ago. I was like by 2026, like kind of like after 2025, 2026, I think like the first like actual famous astrologers and people that are into this kind of stuff are gonna appear. And I even see some stuff because I watch a lot of like content. I kind of like to keep my pulse on like what's happening in the world, not just like, the spiritual world. And I see for the first time people on these very masculine content YouTube stuff like talking about numerology and astrology, and I can just sense that it's going to take one person to completely shift it. And I think in 2 or 3 years it's going to be completely shifted.
Good. I hope so.
We'll
Yeah,
see.
I think it's going to be completely shifted, to be honest.
Say that again.
Because
What's that?
I think everything's going to be pretty shifted in a few years.
Oh, yeah.
I get kind of like psychic visions. So yeah.
No, same. It's already right now. It's crazy, It's like it's such a weird time right now. Like I think we're gonna look back on this time and just be like, what the fuck? Like we're literally between two worlds and we're in this middle this weird middle space that like feels kind of like a dream
Yeah.
because it's like the past doesn't make sense anymore, but we don't see the future.
Right.
And just got to be strong during these days,
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And so for me with my North Node, right, trying to find the structure in that is just, yeah, a challenge I'm dealing with right now.
Well, I also see a lot of authority. Like, I think you're here to be an authority in how you can be of service. And, um, I think with a chart like, you're a Leo, so it's like you're, in your Cap rising. So you are ruled by Saturn. So there is a lot of fate and a lot of karma in your life, and there's a lot of purpose. And especially with Uranus on your midheaven, you're not meant to have a normal life, like a normal like external dharma life, not like you're not meant to have a normal life with like family and stuff like that. Like that's not what I'm talking about. But midheaven Uranus, especially in the 11th in whole sign, it's like you are definitely here. Like I think the show and the book, like sometimes you just gotta fucking do it and worry about this stuff later. Like
Yeah.
I wrote a book a few years ago, and I think like for me it was really, and I'm sure it's similar for you, it was more about like my idea when I wrote the book was like maybe not many people will buy it. I'm not expecting it to go crazy. I didn't even I made like $3 a copy. Like I don't even look at the reports. But it's like my biggest motivation was like I'll know exactly how I used to think in 20 years if I want to reread it. That was, to me, that was enough. And then whoever wants it, whoever thinks they can benefit from it, one
Yeah.
person, if you can benefit one person extremely deeply, that's better than a book that sells 1 million copies, but it's just some BS.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Definitely.
But what's the holdup like with the family? Like, so they don't want you to have they read the book? Like, why don't they want you to release it?
Yeah, well, because I published a chapter. So basically what it's about is, I had repressed memories of my dad sexually abusing me as a kid. And the problem is my mom allowed it because she was sexually abused by her father, he was a political prisoner during World War II, and he was like abused in concentration camps, like even sexually. So he took it out on her, but me opening my trauma forces her trauma to open. And it's also on my dad's side. So I basically have sexual trauma running through both family lines. And my entire family has their head in the sand about it. And they don't want to look at it. So I'm the enemy. And I'm not looking to expose anybody at all. That's not my purpose. But when I hear stats that similar things have happened to 1 out of 3 women, it just makes me want to, put it out there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so what happens if you do? Like how bad, like what's the worst case scenario? Because I
Never
mean,
have a Libra moon. It's very
yeah,
hard
yeah.
for
Well,
me.
I mean, you have, like, imagine you put the book out and your mom's mad at you for, I don't know, a year or something, or I don't know exactly how she is, but imagine you help out hundreds or thousands of people, who knows how many people, deeply, who read it. And I think it's like bigger than your family in a sense, the message, right? Because it's so applicable to so many people. But I understand
Yeah.
what you're saying. Like, do you think your mom would like disown you or like not talk to you forever? Or do you think she would just be really pissed for a little bit and then
No,
maybe,
see, I'm more worried about suicide. Um,
oh shit, okay. Let's,
yeah, I had a coworker, so I like watched it in real time. I don't know if you ever saw the show The Crowded Room.
no.
It's on Apple TV. Anyway, it's super like deep psychological. You probably love it.
The
But
crowded room.
yeah, it's on Apple. It's with Tom Holland. He's amazing in it. But anyway, what happens when you have like such severe trauma at a young age, it kind of shatters your psyche. So for me, I went into like a really deep depression when I found out about it. And then I had a coworker at work that when he had a kid, 'cause sometimes when you have kids, the repressed memories come in, and he committed suicide. And my mom's fragile, my family's fragile. So I worry about this forcing their memories to come up, and their psyches literally can't handle it. So it's suicide I'm worried about. Not that, like, I don't care if they're, mad at me or anything like that. It's more, I don't want to hold that on my conscience.
Yeah, damn.
Yeah.
And
It's just so embedded in my family is the problem.
yeah. And when you talk to her about it, it's just like, have you received clues that that could happen, or like what's like,
Yeah, because I can actually see, I think because I just went so deep within myself for this, I can see the door open on the repressed memories. And she'll have a memory like, oh, I remember my dad like bathed me, but I was like really too old to be bathed. And then I'd ask her about it a week later. She's like, I never said that. So I can see like her, the door to her subconscious opening and closing, and she just can't deal with it. So by me forcing it, that's where I worry. That's where the psyche can get really fragile if they're not, trying to do it on purpose and it happens accidentally.
yeah,
So
wow.
so that's why I was thinking, well, maybe a TV show I can hide it a little bit better with different characters and things like
That's
that.
what yeah, that's what I was thinking, was like, I was like, maybe it can be, maybe the same message can come through in a way that's not, I don't know, personal, like where she's not involved personally in any way, like more metaphoric. I don't know, that's tough.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's what I'm kind of playing with, like having multiple characters where, yeah, it's my experiences but split amongst characters.
Hmm. Yeah, that is really a hard decision.
Yeah. Or we'll see. I mean, in terms of kind of the future psychic visions I've had, there's a lot of people aren't going to make it. So maybe
How
it's just
so?
that. No, just in terms of a lot of structures falling and,
Oh yeah,
are
like
happening.
more economic stuff, or are you saying like more on like the spiritual, like people, a lot of people committing suicide, a lot of people like not making, in terms of like with the whole way the world economy and everything is getting set up right now?
I think
Just
all of them, right? Suicides, I think, if they're, more viruses and things being unleashed, more like weather things and natural disasters and things like that, I feel like there's a lot of people that are not going to make it over the next 10 years. Sorry to be so pessimistic.
no, I mean, I'm a eighth houser also, so
Okay.
nothing's too much. But yeah, that's
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah. Well, I guess we'll see, you know, but timing's everything. And yeah, I don't know, just with that Uranus on the midheaven, those people are always meant to shake things up for the collective and give back. And also 11th house though, like sometimes it's later in life, you know, that this big thing accumulates. But also I think Uranus midheaven people will go through lots of career changes in not just their career, but like their public perception, kind of how they're seen by you know, just how they identify themselves with on like a big picture, like their mission, their dharma, what they stand for. It's really like a lot of trial and error, lots of exploring this and exploring that, you know. So
Yeah.
huh,
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. I feel like I can go in a number of different directions.
Yeah.
And I always have. I mean, I guess it's a gift to be able to kind of, go in a number of different directions, but it's also a mind fuck.
No, I hear you. I hear you. But yeah, I think also with that, it's like your, you know, your moon's with in the 10th. So this is the chart of someone who's meant to do something that kind of like, if you think of Uranus as the great liberator, I think that's kind of like a good, you know, explanation or summary of one, you know, kind of what you're meant to do is to help liberate people in some way, you know. And with your Chiron on the IC, people, I have Pluto on the IC, so we're kind of similar in that vein. And it's, you know, when you have planets on the IC, they oppose the midheaven. So it's like you have to reach your pinnacle of success, you have to overcome that Chiron, you know? So it sounds like you've done that. Um, and then it becomes like a, you know, something that's actually can be really contributing to your, you know, so Chiron and Uranus, right? So it's like the healer and the person that takes the road less traveled, the more unconventional person that helps other people see, hey, I don't have to go this direction, you know, I don't have to just live in this kind of repeat, you know, lost phase forever. So yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
And then yeah, you have you have Mars in Gemini, so you know, that's like you're meant to be a writer or someone who speaks, you know. I mean, it's probably something that is quite. Are you a good arguer?
Oh yeah. The best.
Yeah, I always say Mars and Gemini, don't argue with them. They're like their words are their weapons.
Yeah. Yeah. I did mock trial in high school and they're like, we'll pay for your law school if you work for us. I'm like, yeah, I'm not staying in this town.
Yeah, I said arguer, but I nearly was gonna be like, I nearly said lawyer. I know
Yeah.
that you said business though. I was like, yeah, are you a lawyer? But
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah.
Um, okay, yeah, and the Mercury retrograde is interesting. Like it's kind of, yeah, the abstract. So yeah, you definitely see Jupiter there too, like the lantern into the unconscious, able to see the darkness within yourself that others don't see, which helps you, you know, and then you also have that protection when you go to those really dark places, you're able to kind of still see the big perspective of everything and not get lost in it, you know?
Yeah. Definitely. Oh, and you said a lot too that I need spiritual protection. And that yeah, could be prone to, you're like, I don't want to scare you. You could be prone to
I,
psychic attacks.
I'm not
And
scared of it. And oh yeah,
yeah,
I said that. Yeah.
yeah, you said that. Yeah.
Well, what's interesting is you have, yeah, that's just like a potential, like with Neptune square nodes, but like
No, it's true.
it's true. Yeah. Well,
Well,
eh,
astral travel so much, I get into trouble because I'm so curious. I get into trouble and then I get attacked because of what I
gosh,
saw specifically.
yeah, my friend Trey used to do that. He like I had to like he would like pass out a few times. He was like just completely, it was like he died or something. I had to like shake him and like get him out of this like catatonic state. It was crazy. It happened twice.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, crazy stuff. But yeah, Jupiter eighth house is definitely good for spiritual protection. So I think that's good. That's good to have there to kind of counterbalance it.
And it's also crazy that my North Node is Virgo because I am completely surrounded by Virgos. My
Really?
husband, my two best friends. Yeah, my husband actually has opposite nodes as me. He is North Node Pisces, South Node Virgo.
It's match made in heaven. You guys are helping each other
Yeah,
get
we both
to
have rising too.
say that again.
We both have Capricorn rising. He also has a Capricorn moon.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, yeah.
Interesting, interesting. Huh. So you guys have a moon square moon, perhaps. I'm not sure his degree is. But yeah, so what Chiron there. So Chiron and Taurus, yeah, I guess you kind of already said like it's a lot about finding, yeah, just self-esteem stuff, like finding the self, like I think for Chiron and Taurus, people with that sometimes they don't see themselves as beautiful, or they just like have to like things like yoga, nature, hiking, like anything that's like engages the senses is really healing. And also fifth house, so anything related to to creativity also, like painting, or anything that engages the senses is very healing for you.
Okay. Okay, cool.
Well, what else is in your notes, your mental notes?
Yeah, let's see. Um, are you amazed at how many things you got right about me? Or does that happen every time?
Um, I don't always. I'd say yeah, pretty much. Like, yeah, for the most part. Although, like some people, it's weird. They like get the reading and follow up, but then they just like don't message me back about the follow up, and I'm like, it's very clear that you had a follow up. But I feel like some people just get what they want, and then they dip.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't get to hear back from those people, but I hope I did good for them. But everyone I talk to, it's pretty spot on for the most part. Although it depends because there's always free will. There's always free will, and
Mhm.
um, someone's like not living in their North Node journey or in their highest energy, then things can not necessarily be off, but my guess is that it can be a bit. My readings can probably be a bit triggering to people, especially like if I'm like saying something that in their heart they know is true, but it's not something they want to confront. That'd be my best guess as to why. I don't think that like people that don't message me back or that don't message me for the follow up, it's because I did a bad job. I'd say more a lot of
Yeah,
people just, yeah,
good
it's
of it.
probably,
Yeah.
yeah, you're eighth houser, so you can handle any intensity, but some people I don't think they can handle
Right.
it.
Yeah. Well, and even with this, like, like I hate that my North Node's in Virgo. Like, I don't want to be organized and routine and responsibility. Like I know that about myself. So I'm like, all right, I gotta get my shit together. But yeah,
Well,
I get it.
another question. So Black Moon Lilith and Virgo, do you ever do you have anything with perfectionism? Um, like
Oh
are
God,
you yeah?
as a kid, oh my God, yeah, it was awful. But it just stressed me out so much. I don't know, I think college I let it go.
Okay.
But I still have, look, in business, I still had it. Yeah, it
Mm-hmm.
comes out. I'm working on it. It comes out. I think because it opposes like so many other aspects of my personality, I fight it.
Gotcha. Yeah, because that's the only thing. Black Moon Lilith and Virgo. You still hear me, by the way? You do, right?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I just think that sometimes they can be a bit tough critics on themselves, and um, also Mars in the sixth. can be, I would just say that you have to really watch overworking. Like, if you're working for something that you know is your purpose, and like I said, you're Uranus on the descent on the midheaven, so it's like you're meant to be going through trial and error, North Node, ninth house. You're meant to be traveling physically or metaphorically, trying on different philosophies, trying, just talking to people who have different viewpoints, all that stuff. But like, I think Mars there, it's just like, yeah, you have to really, and that's part of the North Node and Virgo journey also, is just like the health, daily health, diet, sleeping, all those little things, that's part of because sometimes the South Node and Pisces can be a little bit, or just Pisces in general, maybe is a better way of putting it. They can just like forget that they have
Are
a
you up at
body.
night?
What's that?
Are you up a lot at night?
Am I? Yeah, I am. Yeah, I'm,
Me too.
I'm crazy. I'm up so late. It's ridiculous. I just feel way better at night. I don't know. Like the
I,
second it gets dark, I just get happier, more relaxed. So
yeah. Why is that? I do too. Is that the Pisces?
honestly, the only human design was the only thing that told me. My friend does human design, and she was like, "Yeah, you have something that I don't know about. Maybe I'm sure you have it too, where how did she say it? She said daytime is meant to be kind of a rest. Well, I interpret it as like my days are supposed, like I'm not meant to like be super active, like yeah, like working out and stuff like that, to feel good. But in terms of like work, I'm way better at night. And she was like, you're a night person, so yeah, like I feel so much higher energy. Like even like I don't drink very often, but when I do drink, like which is very occasionally, like my hangover will be so horrible. And the second sunset comes and it's dark, it's like my hangover like goes
Uh,
away. And I'm just like, whoa, like holy shit. Is
yeah,
that how it is for you too?
I had a boss and at like 4 o'clock, he's like, okay, all of a sudden you're like working your ass off. Like what happened? But yeah, it's like I don't really actually wake up until like 4 in the afternoon.
Yeah. Do you have like, I swear, like during the day, like I don't know, especially when it's bright outside. Like I'm not like I don't hate the sun. I love the sun if there's water, if there's like a beach vibe. I don't live by a beach. So like
Hmm.
summer for me, and people are like, what the fuck? But I feel like it's the worst. Like for me personally, it's the season I struggle with the most because it's so fucking bright outside, and I'm just like, I don't know. I just prefer like weather that changes a lot and that's more gray. But then if it's too gray, it's not good, I don't
Right.
know.
Well, see, I'm a Leo, so I like the sun.
Yeah, yeah. I'm Leo rising, but I like it, but I don't like it when it's like I love when it starts to get sunny, but when you're in the middle of summer and it's been sunny for 2 months and still I don't know, in Fahrenheit, like 80, 90, and it's just so hot and I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just gets old. It gets depressing to me. But most people, it's the opposite. It's when it's yeah. So now are you able to? Do you feel like you're more? Because I think that's part of a Mercury retrograde thing too. Because like with Mercury retrograde, you're more abstract minded, and I
Yeah.
feel like artistic people, not all of them, but a lot of like the more artistic minded people I know, like Drake, just a random example, and I'm not like a huge Drake fan or anything, but he I saw on YouTube not too long ago that he goes to sleep at 6:30 a.m. every night. That's like when I go to sleep, so or around when I go to sleep. And I was like, damn, the most famous musician in the world is doing what I'm doing, so maybe it's not so bad, right?
Yeah. I wonder if I should do it because I fight it. So I have a, regular bedtime, go to sleep with my husband, have a regular bedtime. But I'm up for at least 2 hours in the middle of the night. Like I get downloads and everything. So I'm wondering if I just stop fighting it and stay up if
Yeah.
normal schedule.
I mean,
Well,
like this is the thing, because it's like, yeah, I mean, because if you think of the efficiency, it's like if if you're able to go to bed and pass out right away, you know, because it's late, I feel like that's, you know, you're more, you know, even if you're like not doing anything productive, I feel like it's still stop cat scratching my thing. Um, to me, it's like if you know if your best energy and your most creative energy and your most happy, inspired energy is at 2 a.m., then maybe that's just your build, you know, and maybe trying it out. But then the question becomes, I guess for you, how does that affect your relationships? You have kids?
Right. No, no,
You
we
do.
decided not to have kids. Yeah.
Nice. That's I'm on that boat also. I
Yeah.
think I'm not a big
Yeah.
fan. Well, they're cool, but I like cats more. But yeah, so I mean, if your husband if it doesn't like I guess I would say like if your husband's cool with it and it doesn't throw you guys off that much, maybe try it. Could be good.
Yeah. Yeah, I probably should. And then maybe I'd actually like sleep soundly through 8 hours versus sleeping like 3 and getting up.
Yeah, because yeah, I mean like imagine if you started trying it out and then you're like, wow, 2 or 3 a.m. is when like holy shit, I'm so creative. I'm like having all these ideas. Maybe you know, like write another book or do something, you know, like create the show or some new idea comes to you and it's like, could you really have, you know, would that really have come during the day? I get all my best ideas either after I work out or at night. They just don't come during the day.
Yeah. Yeah, I get all my best ideas when I'm like lying wide awake in bed in the middle of the night. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? At one, okay, so you have Mercury retrograde, so you definitely are really in, you know, Neptune 12th, all the eighth house. So you're really tapped in. Obviously, you know, you're psychic too. So it's like my theory is the following. I think do you live in a city or like around like a lot of people?
Um, no, I used to. I mean, I live in Charleston, so I can go to this, downtown. It's not a real like huge city or anything.
Awesome.
Um,
In South
yeah,
Carolina?
yeah.
Gotcha. Well, okay, so regardless, like my theory is that very sensitive people, because the day is so active and there's so many people working and stressed out and there's so much thought energy around you, like I guess if you
Mhm.
live on a farm, it's probably or like on a big, you know, huge amount of land, maybe it's a little bit different, but still, I think that just collectively the energy, very sensitive people feel that. And there's a lot of suffering, a lot of people who hate their lives, a lot of people who have a lot of you know negative energy during the day. I forget what artist said it. It was like at night everyone's asleep, and it to me it just feels like there's less thought energy in the city or in the world, you know, or in the area I'm in, and I'm just able to like it's like silence, more silence of the mind. I don't know how to describe it.
Well, that makes sense because I'm a projector in human design, so I take in people's energies. So, what's your human design? Do you remember?
What's the most popular one?
There's
Mm,
generator,
generator,
manifest.
yeah, pure generator.
Okay. So you have a
Yeah,
motor. I do not have a motor.
yeah, projectors. Yeah. I learned a little bit about it. Dipped my foot in that
Yeah.
lake.
But
But
I like
yeah,
that because I take in people's energy. So you're probably right. It's probably less chaotic at night. Like I'm not like siphoning through all these like energies and I can get a clearer focus.
yeah. I just think like, yeah, I mean, especially if you're laying in bed for hours, it's like you're not, you know, you're not sleeping. For me, I mean, I was not always like this. And you know, you do have Uranus on your midheaven, so it's like you have a strong Uranus. So it is really just about doing things your way. And but yeah, for me, I guess what I was gonna say is like for me, it was not. I wasn't always like this. It was a progressive shift. But then when I started really thinking like what like you know not in school anymore, like not doing anything that needs to get up is like what's the point? You know, like why am I going to bed and laying in bed for for me, it was the same, like multiple hours before I could go to sleep to get up for what? I don't have kids. It's just like,
And be groggy all day because I felt like I had to get up at a certain time.
yeah. I mean, there's always pros and cons. Like I do, like when I am jet lagged, for example, I go back to America. Obviously, I'm waking up at like 7. I can feel on those very rare days, it feels nice to be up early and get a bunch of stuff done. But then at the same time, is that conditioning? Is that just societal conditioning of you have to do? I don't know. There's,
Probably.
yeah, there's pros and cons to it all. Some people say like the energy is the best like when you wake up at like, I don't know, like my mom, for example, Virgo, very Virgo. She's up at like what, 7:30, and to me it's like people do that, but then they take a nap at like 1 or 2, so it's like, or they take a long nap in the afternoon, and it's just like, okay, you could have just added that nap to your sleep, and then you just up.
Right. Right.
So,
Exactly. All right. I'm gonna play with that. Definitely gonna play with that.
yeah, interesting to see how it goes. All right, well, what else is in this chart?
Let's see. Um, let me look at my notes. Oh yeah, you talk a lot about boundaries and how important they are.
Yeah, classic Libra moon. Come on, Esme.
Yeah.
We can ask my special cat, Esme, also if she wants to look at the chart. Esme, tell me what to look at. Oh, you're not working right now? She doesn't want to work.
How are your kittens doing? Your new kittens?
Good. Really good. Let's see.
And they all get along? Oh, so cute.
Let's see if we can see your face. Come on, Ina. Show your little face.
Oh.
Do a stretch. There she is.
Oh, look at that little face.
She's a double Aries, so she's crazy, but right now she's calm. She passes out so deeply. I'm so jealous.
Oh, I know.
Ina.
Yeah, my cat is 18 and she's a Scorpio.
Yeah, this guy's a Scorpio too. Cancer, Scorpio, Aries. 2 Aries are in this house.
The crazy ones.
Yeah, same birthday too. 4 years apart.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah. Yep. Crazy cats. Okay. Let's see.
Yeah, and I
Wait.
guess anything else, you mentioned like having so much eighth house, but also in Leo is pretty a rare combo. And is that just the dark versus light kind of combo?
Yeah. So yeah, it really is like a bright light in the dark realms. So it can be a bit confusing too, I think, because people might, you are a Cap rising, so but yeah, do people ever, maybe that doesn't work, but okay, I'll ask anyway. Do people ever meet you and kind of get surprised by your depth? Like it wasn't like what they expected, like by how deep you are and how eighth house you are, because a lot of that time it's very hidden, right? So like the eighth house stellium, it can make a very mysterious person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get that a lot. And I think, and maybe it's my Cap rising, and probably Libra moon, where growing up, I was very concerned about, social norms. So I would like fit into however I had to. And then all of a sudden, yeah, I'd say something deep and people would look at me like, wait, you're supposed to be this like happy-go-lucky kind of person. Like, where did that come from? So yeah, that happens quite a bit. Now I don't care as much as fitting in with all the social norms like I did, but
Yeah. One sec, my camera just fucked up. Camera. Yeah, definitely. And that's the battle for Libra, right? It's like boundaries and being able to, how do I share screen? Yeah, being able to say no, being able to have your own back, being able to really just not have to please everyone, because that's what happens with a lot of Libra moons, is that also there can be sometimes codependency,
mhm.
and that's what I've noticed with a lot of Libra moons, is that there's sometimes this journey where they have to learn to be happy alone. Was that ever something for you?
It was, I think I learned that early on though, because I was alone so much with kind of like my trauma. So I kind of learned it, I'd say by college. I was okay being alone, but I did go through like my childhood not wanting to be alone.
Yeah,
So I get that. But I think too, the Pluto near my moon, right, makes me a little less Libra like in some
definitely.
way.
Yeah, that makes, yeah, it's kind of like a Scorpio moon slash Scorpio slash
Yeah,
Libra.
yeah.
You grow up fast with the Pluto moon. It's like you have that for a reason. You're meant to
Mhm.
have your family that you incarnate in for a reason, your mom for a reason, because you grow up faster. You're seeing the darker side of reality at a younger age, and you're pushed to heal yourself emotionally and transform yourself at a younger age. So it's very interesting how many of my clients have Pluto square moon, Pluto conjunct moon, mostly those
Yeah,
two, not as much opposite for some
yeah.
reason.
Now, what are your thoughts on, like, I've heard that like your Western astrology chart is for this lifetime, but that maybe Vedic is like your soul's astrology. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Um, I think that both systems are incredible and they're different. I think that, I mean, I haven't studied Vedic enough. I have studied it, but I decided to go with Western just because I live in the West. But I would say, that, yeah, the Vedic, there's a lot of, it's really, really hard to get the real Vedic, um, the real knowledge. A lot of fake stuff is out there. I've been lucky to have some teachers for Vedic that were the real deal, and they always told me, you're a lot of the YouTubers and the people who I guess make content kind of like how I make, I guess, or people like me make for Western, for Vedic, a lot of times it's just like way off. But with like the real deal stuff, I do think it goes very, very deep. I think that the predictive side of Vedic is unbelievable. I made a video about this years ago, and I think my overall idea was that, I mean, Western, like the way I do Western, it's very karmic, right? But yeah, I would say there's some truth to that. I wouldn't say it's just this life. I would say more, it's different parts of the soul, I guess you could say. But yeah, I think that the Vedic probably, it probably goes. I mean, and also it depends on who's doing it, right? Like if you get a reading from me, which I go like the very deep karmic stuff, mix in probably my own. I think I don't call myself a psychic, but I think I definitely get a ton of downloads when I do readings because I don't know how I know stuff. It just
Yep.
comes out. And I think this cat, Esme, famous Esme, helps me a lot. Um, she'll like look when I'm struggling. She'll look at the chart and I'll be like, look at the. Did she do that in your reading?
Yeah, yeah.
What'd she look
Uh,
at?
eighth house Leo.
Good. Good job. Good job. That's what I'm gonna give you a raise. Yeah. So I think that the Vedic, I think they touch on two different parts of of the psyche. But if I had to take a guess, I would say that the Vedic is like a perfect, like the best Vedic astrologer, right? compared to like the best Western astrologer? Or let me think of this. I'm trying to come I'm still trying to come up with an answer because my ideas have changed through the years. I'm trying to imagine if I was as good as I am at Western, at Vedic, what would it be like? Yeah, I think that there would be a level. I think that they would just be uncovering different levels of the same thing, but that Vedic might have some stuff that Western doesn't have, and Western will have some stuff that Vedic doesn't have. For example, um, Vedic is not as there's not as much math involved in terms, like for example, in the geo like all of the aspects. There are aspects in Vedic, but it's they're yeah they both offer. I would definitely say that Vedic is more on the soul. It goes can go deeper with the soul, and Western can really help you. It's more about the perspective, right? It's like Vedic is going to give you this wide perspective, and you can go kind of from up to down, and then Western, it's giving you a very like, okay, in this life, but then also lots of clues of to get the big picture, right? So you can kind of use both to get. Have you had a Vedic reading before?
I have, and well, several things were like super complicated where I was like, wait, I'm not really following. But the other thing is a lot of my things change. Like I'm a Cancer in Vedic and like
Yeah.
just don't really relate to that at all. And I think I'm Sag rising. I think I still have a
Yeah.
Libra.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but it just was confusing, if anything.
Yeah. Another thing with Vedic is that there's nakshatras, and so instead of the signs, they still use the signs, but there's like 2.5 nakshatras in each sign. So those ones differ. Like, like I'm
Yes.
a Scorpio moon, Jeshta, and I don't know if anything like that. It's the most true. Like if I read the description of a Jeshta, because it's your moon sign's the most important, your moon, your rising in Vedic, and like my moon one is so on point, but like my chart doesn't change that much. But I would say Western honestly is a lot more correct for me, for my chart, besides the moon and Jeshta. But like my Sag moon makes so much fucking sense. My theory also, I think that there's some synchronicity. I think that people born right now in the West, the astrology adapts. It's like evolution or something, where it adapts to make sense with this current time a little bit more. Um, but yeah, it is tough to think about that. Like my brother's chart, it's so fucking funny. Like everything goes from the most feminine, like Capricorn moon becomes a Sag moon. Um, like his Taurus rising, he becomes an Aries rising. His what's the other one? His Cancer sun becomes a Gemini sun, and he's not an Aries Gemini Sag. Trust me, like he is the totally his Western chart. So with the proof I have, I've seen a lot more charts make more sense than Western. But then again,
Okay.
I'm not a Vedic astrologer, and I'm not gonna. If
Oh
you
my.
if you ask me which system's better, 50-50. I cannot. The only reason I chose Western was because I knew that I'm not gonna probably live in India. I mean, maybe who knows, but yeah. So
Mhm. Okay. Yeah, I'm always interested in people's perspective on that.
yeah, I
Yeah.
have a video I can send you. I just need to find it. Hold on,
Okay.
I'll send it to your email. Jesse Anderson Vedic. This is so long ago, so I have no idea how Western and Vedic astrology can coexist. 4 years ago. Wow. Okay. I'll send it to you. Okay. Done.
Oh, and I wanted to ask you to the Vega is on my ascendant. Can you tell me a little more about that?
Yeah, that's the one I was talking about at the start. What was it saying?
Yeah.
Just very, very good for success. It's, it's just one of these stars that gives power. And where are the planets that ruled
Okay.
Vega? Vega is, yeah, Venus nature with a blend of Neptune and Mercury. So yeah, this is very artistic, um, artistic talents, especially for music and acting, but also a liking for good living. It can create eccentric artists. Mm-mm-mm. And then yeah, it speaks about high success and wealth. It's just statesmen, politicians, important people. I feel like it's like can be very businessy, but also very, very worldly. And it's just a nice place to have a Capricorn rising because it's a star that is not very Capricorn. It's more yeah, it's Venus. So it's yeah, very creative, but also very good with words and talking and good for intelligence. So yeah, it gives a little nice flavor.
Okay. Yeah, and probably balances out the typical Capricornian stuff because I don't, well, as you know, I just found out I was Capricorn rising. I thought the whole time I was Sag rising. So, do you remember my
Yeah,
birth time? Yeah, my mom got my birth time wrong. So,
yeah. That's always a mind fuck when that
yeah,
happens because you would have had Neptune rising to Sag.
right, right. Yeah. Yeah. So when I heard Capricorn, I was like, what? Really? But it makes more sense now.
Yeah. All right. Well, any other questions on this before we jump into the current astro?
Let's jump into the current Astro. More may come as I'm reminded.
Say that again. I didn't hear.
Yeah, let's jump in, and more
Okay.
questions may come to talk about the current stuff.
Sounds good. All right.
Yeah, and I want
Let's.
to tell you, I'm going to Egypt the end of October, so I wanted to know if there was anything for that
Okay.
visit.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Let's go. Where do I want to start? Okay. Where's your progressed moon? Hmm. Okay. Gemini. So, okay. So progressed moon is kind of like your emotional compass. And you can always it changes every 2.5 years. You can always just literally go on Google and search calculate my progressed moon. And
Okay.
it doesn't change your moon sign, obviously, but if you, for example, right now, your progressed moon is in Gemini. So your natal moon's in Libra, both are air signs. It's for another year. It's going to be, or less than a year. It's going to be there for probably 10 months or so. And then it'll go to Cancer. So progressed moon in Gemini would be a very curious time. It'd be a time where, on an emotional level, you feel like doing lots of things, like learning lots of things, discovering a lot. And then that also coincides with the progressed sun and Mercury being exactly conjunct, which you have that conjunction natally too. So that makes sense. But still, very good time for studying, for learning, for writing, for any form of communication. And Saturn is close by. Yeah. But I think, yeah, when your progressed moon's in Gemini, it's really about doing, being curious about the world. And when it does switch to Cancer, that you're gonna feel a lot more like rooted, like wanting to ground your energy. So now it would definitely be, and we'll see what all the transits, everything says, but just from that perspective, people who had that, and then yeah, because of its relationship with your natal moon that's positive, it would usually be quite a light and nice period just based on that. Do you feel like lots of action, like a big desire to just really be out in the world and discovering a lot and kind of moving around?
Yeah, I've been traveling a lot.
Yeah.
But it pulls at me because I feel like I'm not on mission though either. Like it's fun, it's great. I'm having a great time, but I also feel like I'm not on mission. So that gives me a little anxiety.
Hmm. Well, all your progressed stellium, or all these planets are in Virgo, so in the ninth house. So that would, ooh, Vertex and Venus. Interesting. Yeah, so there definitely would be a lot of kind of organized movement, I guess you could say. And a lot of an emphasis on discovering truth, really trying to figure out what you believe in, and always challenging what meeting, having different perspectives and really balancing them out. It's very, very intellectual. Um, with let's see. So, and then yeah, and then there's also a certain malleability with the progress ascendant in Pisces. So yeah, that's interesting because that opposes the Virgo. So that can create an energy where there's one side of you that wants to be very out there and just go with the flow in life, a lot, kind of just dream and allow yourself to just go, whatever happens, happens. And then a more controlled side. So there's the opposition between those two, sun opposite, ascendant. So with Virgo Pisces, though, a big part of that axis is about serving other people, finding your place as a servant to God. I don't know what to say. So I think that, yeah, it's really important when you have all that ninth house to not to really look. So you said you've been traveling like lots of countries, or what do you mean? Like, what do you mean by traveling?
Yeah, so I don't it just feels like we've had like weddings and going back and forth to the beach and having a girls' weekend and then this and that and this and that. Yeah, went to Costa Rica in the spring and going to Egypt in October. And we went to
So
Europe a couple times this year. So not like a lot of countries in the past, couple months, but
that's a good amount. Most people are still in COVID mode, myself included, just
yeah.
not traveling. So that's amazing. Yeah, well, that's what you're meant to be doing right now. You're meant to be, because when you go to different places, you're feeling different worldviews. It's like a very unconscious type of learning just by being somewhere else, as long as you're, you know,
Yeah.
like in the culture. Um,
And I do so much past life processing when I travel and I go to different countries.
yeah, yeah, no, yeah, that's really important, especially ninth house Saturn natal wants to. Yeah, I mean, it can even be like a more serious approach to traveling, but a lot of astrologers and people who do that kind of work, similar work, have ninth house. More philosophical people have ninth house Saturns, but it's like after 30, a lot opens up. Um, so yeah, that's interesting. But I want to see. Okay, so we'll start here. The start of interesting. Okay, so you'll have Pluto. I'm just gonna make the screen like this because I know that that can be that graph can be very
There's a lot.
bizarre. Yeah. Um, okay, so you're gonna have you're gonna have, I mean it started, but now it's back in Capricorn, but it's still activated because your Venus is 0 Leo. So Pluto is opposing your Venus. Um, that one, it's really, really important to, how do I put this? So with relationships, right? Pluto, so Pluto opposite Venus. I always think when there's tough Venus transits, especially when you're married in a committed relationship, I think that a lot of, especially with Pluto, you know how in relationships people can kind of bury some of the things that bother them, or like some of the pains. Let's say two people are together and someone does something, they stay together, but it was kind of messed up, or like maybe it's a small thing, like what's an example? Like for example, someone being too clingy, or I don't know, like a little thing, or things that one was able to bury
Yeah.
before. When Pluto comes, it brings up all that stuff um to the surface.
Okay.
It's an opposition, so definitely there can be, if there's any kind of possessiveness or jealousy, that stuff can come up during those transits. Well, it's really, really interesting. So especially for single people, it can bring these like very instant attractions and stuff like that. Um, but when you're in a relationship, I think that sometimes what can happen is that there can be some, there's two ways, right? There's the lower and the higher way. The higher way of Pluto Venus is that you guys go through something and it makes you guys even stronger, right? um Something that has to be overcome. But with every transit, I always say this, that if it really depends on how solid a couple is, right? Because if like there's one couple that hasn't done the work, they've kind of said, oh, whatever, whatever, and then that thing comes up, they're not going to be equipped. But if it's like in school, if you study all semester long, by the time the test comes, it's not going to phase you, right? Compared to someone that just like crams the last day.
Mhm.
But yeah, so what can happen with Pluto Venus? There can be, yeah, lots of very intense like feelings, and there can be suspicions. And it's just like there can be a kind of emotional outburst that can come, and it's just really important to know that that's a potential. And just
Emotional outbursts be from me, or that would just be in the relationship?
just in the relationship, um that can come, right?
Mm.
So and it really brings up the idea of power. Hey, stop, cat. Two cats on me. Like relationship power dynamics, if they're not healthy, like if there's too much power on one side, it's not, and you're a Libra, so that's very good, right? For the balance. But if there's too much power on one side, it can be very difficult, right? So a lot with all Pluto transits, it's all about not holding on so tight and being able to like completely um not let go. What's the word? Just, yeah, just really, really like allow, surrender to have, like with any Pluto transits, it surrender is the key word, right? Um, and a lot of times with that, I've noticed that I've seen people, yeah, like the word control comes to mind. Like I've seen power plays, but then I've also seen people who understand that, and it just makes communication super important. Do you guys have pretty good communication?
Yeah, we do.
Okay, well, that's really good.
Yeah, I
But
feel like money and love are not things for me to learn in this life. I think I did those before.
yeah, well, other things, so Venus is also self-love. So, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, Pluto can yeah, it's like it really boils out what we don't need, and it refines things. So sometimes if so it's like if you're cooking something that you have to boil all of this shit out of, it's going to be more difficult than if the thing that you're cooking is already refined. I know it's not the best cooking terminology, but um
And
yeah,
when
but
did
it's,
that start and when does it end?
let's see, 2 years. Yeah, so Pluto moves super slow. So I'd say by over the next few years, probably by like, and the thing with these types of transits is it's usually at the start that we feel them the most, you know? But like for example, in September 2026, Pluto is only at 3 Aquarius, so it's only 3 degrees away. Um, yeah, barely moves. And then the next year from that, it's 4 Aquarius, then 6 Aquarius. So right now I would say like it started already. Um, and over the next few years, it's going to be like exact. This year, next year, and then 2025, it's still going to be going, but it's not going to be as strong. And then by 2026, I think you're past that. But then after that, you have Pluto opposite Sun. So your Leo energy is being it's gonna be a lot of people who have a lot of Leo right now with Pluto and Aquarius are gonna be, facing some I don't want to say difficult times. There's just gonna be intensity, but intensity is always, an opportunity, right? And it's not, there's no such thing as a bad transit in the sense that people who have Pluto transits, I always think of the rich millionaire who built his entire empire on ego, who has Pluto opposite his sun or square his sun, and then everything falls apart. But then he has to go and rebuild everything, and then he rebuilds it in a more authentic, benevolent way, right? So it's just lots of tests, but um yeah, if the relationship is solid, I think that's the most important thing with anything with Venus is where the relationship's at, how you're able to communicate during conflict, and a lot of people just can't do that,
Yeah. Yeah.
and always space, and just anything, yeah, like I said earlier, like anything that was buried in the past, it comes up. So if you think that you guys have done a pretty good job of overcoming that stuff, then yeah, then it's not going to be so bad.
Yeah. I kind of feel like our relationship was like my life. We had a lot of early challenges that we figured out, which made, things now a lot smoother sailing.
Yeah, same with me. I can feel you on that one. Okay, so is Pluto doing anything else is the big question. Esme, stop. Esme, Esme, stop scratching that. Let's see, so one, anything else? Okay, so that's good for Pluto. Okay, so you have just passed, it's pretty much over. Wait, why does it say it's at 28? Hold on. Wait, I swear it's at 26. Why is my program saying? Just need to check something. Weird. Well, regardless, you're right now you have Neptune squaring your Mars. And
Okay.
it's been doing that for a while. So it's gonna be over pretty soon. You've probably had it for the last 2 years. And
Okay.
yeah, that one is interesting. I feel like if Mars is your ability to move forward, your assertiveness function, Neptune, it can just it just makes it really important for one can feel a little bit lost. Like they're kind of going in circles, but when they're able to have a higher meaning, it
Okay.
yeah, and it can also make it difficult to have like on like just based pure energy, like people who have Neptune to Mars, they can sometimes feel like their energy levels are lower or more unpredictable.
Yes.
And yeah, but also it's a deeply spiritual time. And it's just really, really important for you with that transit to not to really, really stay in the moment and judge yourself or not judge yourself harshly in terms of what you're able to do. Sometimes people who are very, very, just doing this and doing that, like very high functioning, and I've had Neptune transits like crazy last year, so I know about this. It's like you can sometimes feel like you just don't have like because your dreams can be very, very intense, right? And then your dreams affect your waking reality. And just the unconscious, everything unconscious can be very, very unpredictable.
Mhm.
So just being able to have a life where you don't have to go, 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 and you can sort of go with the flow and basically have days, if there's days where you just can kind of feel it intuitively, like, all right, I'm not, today's not my day, I'm better off just chilling, relaxing. Not
Yeah.
everyone has that, right? So a lot of people, when they go through this transit, there can be substance issues or issues with escapism because, you're expected to be, to be doing in the society and yeah. So yeah, with Neptune Mars, I would say also with health, it can sometimes, if especially if there's overworking, there can be
Mhm.
like weakened immune system. So it's really important to have limits and boundaries during that time because also that's another aspect, right? Sometimes Mars square Neptune people or the transit or natally, like they want to just help, 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 help. You know what I mean? And some people will take advantage of that.
Right.
So really just having boundaries over because like do you feel like because you have your progressive moons in Gemini, but do you feel how do you feel about your energy levels these days? And before I ask that, I'll also say that like for example, like you can have the worst, like most difficult transit to your Mars, but if you're like working out all the time, doing yoga, doing Kundalini yoga, whatever it is, like you can overcome it. It's just that it's kind of like a current that you have to swim past. But how would you say, yeah, how would you say your energy levels have been physically?
Yeah. Well, that's it hasn't been great, but it's because my nights are so active. So my nights are active, so then I can be kind of a zombie during the day. And then, yeah, I feel like I'm not moving forward in where I want to go. So
Yeah.
yeah, so when is that transit over?
So yeah, this one's pretty much getting close. Let's see. Well, it's already so from now until like for the next year, like in a year from now, it'll be over. It'll be in a new sign, so completely over. But I would say probably depending on what orbs you use. Let me see. 0. I would say like 6 months. 6 months. But like I said, you've already gone through the most intense part of this transit, you know? So when you have transit, you get used to them over time and they just they become like second nature. But yeah, it's gonna your energy levels are gonna return. And I think also with Mars and Neptune, when you can have actions that are more rooted in compassion, more rooted in healing, more rooted in what truly inspires you, it's the best healer for that. So yeah, hold on 1 second. Hold on, just give me 2 minutes, please. I just need to hit order because I don't have any food and we don't want the astrologer to starve, do we? That would not be good. But my order's already ready. Okay. Oh, oh no, it just happened. Do you hear me still? Hello, 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 hello. Is my I can't hear you at all. Do you hear me? Oh, you're frozen. You hear me
Okay.
now? Okay, we're good, we're good. I was just saying I need to just put in this order. Oh, that's way too much food. What am I doing with my life? Take that off. Take that off. And we'll get to, okay. Order, no, 10. Okay, order. Okay, cool. I'm not sure it's happening. Do you hear me now?
Okay. You there?
It's good. Yeah. Wait, why does it say what's happening? There you are. Okay. I'm not sure what happened. Hopefully, no more internet issues. All right, cool. Do you hear me well? No. All right. You're working. What's happening? Is it working?
I can hear you now. Yeah, I
Okay.
think too because I
Okay. Are you frozen? What is happening? Hold on. All right. Well, this will probably work for 2 seconds. So I should probably end the Zoom. Yeah.